When they show up, to shop your store, they don't necessarily want to see every single product in your listing scrolling on forever. They want something targeted that matches what they searched for, that helps them end that search journey.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm welcoming back to the show for maybe the third time, definitely the second time, Kai Davis. He's the founder of Double Your E-commerce, helps Shopify store owners grow with bespoke SEO strategies and fixed price solutions. He's also going to introduce to at least myself and some people on the audience his new venture, KeywordMagic.ai. Kai, welcome back to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And glad to be here.
Absolutely. We talked beforehand about how I had just gotten an amazing domain name after asking for it for over 7 years this morning. But it made me think about our relationship. I've known you for almost a decade. You're probably like one of the first people I've met in this industry.
That touches me. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah. We met at Double Your Freelancing conference back in, was that 2025?
I think it was 2015. It was either 14 or 15. No, it was 15. Yeah. In Norfolk.
Yep.
The first one, right? Yeah. Oh, that takes me back.
Yeah. I slipped and hit my head.
Well, I did not remember that part of it.
Neither did I. Awesome, Kai. All right. So what's, I gave you a quick intro. You do a lot of fun stuff with SEO, but what's the elevator pitch? When you're introducing yourself out and about, how do you introduce people to what it is that you do?
Yeah. So I focus on helping Shopify stores make more revenue with SEO. I think there's a ton of opportunities out there with search engine optimization, even this day and age, to grow revenue. And unfortunately, a lot of the advice out there focuses on easy to identify lower impact opportunities. And so over the past few years, I've really focused my practice on helping my clients identify, what are the top opportunities? What are the 5 levers we could pull today in your Shopify store, this month in your Shopify store, to help you get more traffic? And oftentimes that comes around to, are we optimizing the right things? Have you built enough collections on your store? But really, my practice is focused on, hey, how could we help Shopify stores make more money?
Absolutely. And as you can tell, Kai and I, we go back and we'll go on some tangents, but we do have a bit of a rough outline here. So to let people know what we're going to talk about, first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about collection SEO, which I think is low-hanging fruit for a lot of businesses. Then we're going to talk about product descriptions and obviously AI, generated content and how that can play into your strategy. And then we're just going to kind of get a little bit more open-ended and just talk about SEO in 2025 and like how people can take some of this conversation and apply it to their business and hopefully see some cool gains with search engine optimization this year. So without further ado, let's just jump into collection pages.
So time and time again, I just see not enough merchants leveraging collection pages. And the metaphor about a year ago that really struck me and made me think about collections in a different way was they're aisles for your virtual store. And so I'll often work with a Shopify store and we'll start working. I'll look at their site and they have like 3 collections, all products, this thing, the other thing. And I'm like, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity here. And the brass tacks reason why is Google really sees a collection page as being well optimized out of the box for transactional and commercial terms. Like let's say buy chocolates online or buy, ceramic vase, commercial and transactional terms. Most stores focus a little too heavily on product SEO because it's sort of the obvious thing. We're selling products. Let's optimize the products. Let's just keep optimizing them. But what I've seen is if you take the time to look at the keyword data for your store, in Search Console and Ahrefs, products that your customers are asking for, and stand up dedicated collection pages, Google goes, oh my gosh, this is what we're looking for. We want, a nicely optimized collection page that lists the products, has a little bit of content on it, and just lets us know what this product is about. Again, it's like adding a dedicated aisle to your store. So I'll work with my clients. I'll come in and they'll have, like one very overpacked collection with 50 products in it. And I'll say, okay, looking at the different product types you sell, looking at your search data, looking at your competitor search data, we could see there's, a dozen terms here that get some volume. let's stand up dedicated collection pages for each one of these with, an optimized SEO title, a collection description, that on-page content, some internal links pointing to it. And like, honestly, as I describe it, I'm not talking about rocket science here, but it's what Google wants. So they're able to say, oh, here's a page optimized for this exact term. And it's really what your customers want, because when they show up, to shop your store, they don't necessarily want to see every single product in your listing scrolling on forever. They want something targeted that matches what they searched for, that helps them end that search journey. And so for so many reasons, collections are just almost this magic ingredient for growing your Shopify store. They bring in more relevant revenue generating traffic, and they give your customers exactly what they're searching for. I could go on about this for weeks. So if there's a spot where we want to focus and go deeper on, absolutely. But man.
Well, yeah, I guess let's focus on that merchant going to from 0 to 1 with their SEO strategy. They haven't gone beyond, setting up probably meta descriptions for their products. They probably didn't even realize they could do the same thing for their collections. So, if you were going to approach this with like an 80-20 rule, what should their game plan be? Where should they start?
The simplest thing is going to be product types. Think about the different product types on your store. So, maybe you sell, I'm just thinking here of a resonant example. Maybe you sell like cotton tea towels and cotton, napkins for your kitchen, and you've got them all clustered together just by breaking them apart into separate dedicated collections, basically saying like, hey, we're going to pivot on product type. Just get some standalone based on product type. That helps. That's often an incredibly easy action to take. Beyond that, I like looking at, what do your competitors have? So if, you're in this niche and you look at a dozen of your competitor sites and you see like, oh, they have, these 15 collections and they keep coming up. It's an educated guess that standing up similar collections will help bring in more search traffic for you. And the third way for somebody, just getting started, I think Search Console can be very helpful here. Install Google Search Console on your store, look at the data. Even if you're just starting out, there's often hints in that data to say, oh, people are searching for, this type of transactional term. And so that could be a great way just to get hints at like, this might be a good one to try. Set up that collection page, see if it starts getting traffic. But really, it starts by taking action. It starts by making an educated guess. There's never a perfect plan, but looking at a competitor, looking at your search data often could give you the hints you need.
I'm selling, we're going to just go with your examples of, smaller towels and napkins and whatnot. So I broke them. I built 2 collections now. And within there, I can see this, collection description area within the Shopify admin. Do I need to write a novella? How much should I write?
Any amount is the honest truth. I'll work with stores where like we put 2 words there and I'm like, that's better than nothing. Let's get a little more there. So what I typically recommend is 50 to 100 words is typically the sweet spot for the above the product grid content. There's also below the product grid content, which we could circle back to in a minute. But when you're writing a collection description for a collection, I think 50 to 100 words is a great amount, and write it in sort of a conversational style. Even if you don't have a brick and mortar store, imagine you do. You're working sales. Somebody walked in and is like, hey, do you have any tea towels? What's the deal with your tea towels? What would you say to them as you walk them to that aisle? What would you highlight? What's like, people love this one. Check this one out first. Whatever those details are, it just naturally becomes the collection description. So I think that's just such a healthy way to think about it. Write it conversationally. Write a short description as if you were explaining the products in this aisle to somebody who wandered into your store, and that'll get you good enough out of the gate.
Absolutely. And then we're going to circle back to having AI maybe do some of this work for you in a minute. Don't worry. We are definitely going to cover that topic. I just don't want to talk about it now. Now, how would you approach this from like a different perspective? Say like we do have, hundreds, if, we have a higher volume of collections, we have a decent merchandising thought out, but we built our business on the back of paid ads, right? So we never needed to think about this. What would be like a way to approach such a, where do I start? There's just so much.
It's almost an overgrown garden, right? Like we might have spun up collections because they're great landing pages for paid ads. We haven't put thought into an organic strategy, but it's just sort of like we got a sprawling mess in the metaphorical garden.
Mm-hmm.
I like looking at Search Console here first and foremost. If we have a bunch of existing pages, even if it's overgrown, there's going to be search data there. I put together a free resource, my KeywordMagic spreadsheet that we'll link to in the show notes exactly for this. It pulls in your Search Console data and it basically just pre-filters it into, hey, here's all the keywords that are heading towards product pages. Here's all the keywords that are headed towards collection pages. And so I'll use a resource like that or just splunk around in the Search Console data to understand, okay, well, maybe we got 50 collection pages of various quality sitting around. What keywords are they ranking for? What keywords are they on the cusp for? Where could we create a new page with better content? So if you have a site where like you've been driving traffic with paid ads, it's a bit overgrown, you haven't had an SEO strategy, looking at Search Console data could give you that first sense of, okay, what do we need here? Beyond that though, I find a competitor analysis very helpful when it's a more established store. If you have, half a dozen competitors you could think of, looking at them and just seeing who has built out an SEO strategy, who has obviously optimized collection landing pages, that could give you a sense of the shape that they're aiming for and at least act as, a first draft. Okay, they've done A, B, and C. C doesn't apply for us. A and B do. Let's build on that. So those are the two vectors I'll often look at for a more established store.
Yeah, and then I just want to broach this subject without having my opinion come out, but when you're doing this competitor analysis, would you also be looking at, say, these collections as they exist on behemoths like Amazon or Walmart or Target?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. I found that looking at, the super huge competitor pages can be useful, but oftentimes like the Walmarts, the Amazons, they're kind of playing a different game than most Shopify stores because they've got humongous backlink profiles. They've got the brand equity of the small startup Amazon.com. And so it's not quite the same game. When I see them in the search results though, I'll take note of it because like if, we search a transactional term, buy cotton tea towels and the top result is Amazon and the second is Walmart and the third is Etsy, I'll tell my client this might be too competitive of a term. We might be playing a game where the best we could rank is 4 if we do everything right because like our small Shopify store isn't going to outrank Amazon here without a ton of work. So I think it's useful to note and observe when you see the behemoths show up in the results, but sometimes there isn't as much you could pull away from the actual architecture of their pages. Again, they're kind of playing a different game.
All right. So collections, you think are some of the lowest hanging fruit, to use that term, on getting some more SEO traffic to your website. But let's kind of go a little bit further down the funnel to the product. How often do you see a client actually having a well optimized product description for like their hero product or best sellers?
Sometimes they do have it for like the hero product, the best sellers. If they've got 100 different products in their store, the 3 or 5, they've invested a lot of energy in. And sometimes that's paying off well for them. But sometimes the product they see as their hero product might not be one that's ranking well in search. And so as store owners, we could inadvertently be optimizing the wrong things just because we're looking at, hey, this is our most popular product. That's kind of not doing anything over in SEO land. So it gets a little squishy. I like looking at a bunch of data to understand product performance. What are your best selling products overall? What are your best selling products by channel? What are your best ranking products for organic SEO? What keywords are you ranking for organic SEO? And just start to tie that data together to see like, okay, you have this great performing product. It's ranking 30th for SEO. Okay, this might be one where we really put some fuel on that fire to see if we could rank it higher. But it does get squishy with product SEO. One thing I've noticed is on every client project, I do what I call a page type performance analysis. And I just break down like how much traffic are coming to all your products in aggregate. Same for collections, same for homepage, and same for blog. What I've noticed is products can drive a ton of traffic to your store, but people often convert at a lower conversion rate on average than with collection pages or even your homepage because people are comparison shopping when they search for a product specific term. They're opening up, you and 10 of your competitors and reading the descriptions and picking the one that's the best deal. People don't quite behave in that same way when they're doing a collection focused search or searching terms that are bringing up collection pages. They open the collection, they open up 10 of your products, they're browsing through your store, and then they make that purchasing decision. So should we focus too much on products? Should we focus on collections? It kind of depends store to store, depending on what your own mix is made up of.
And I alluded to this 5-10 minutes ago. Now that Chat GPT and, there's other solutions out there, but that one's the household name. They won the race with establishing a moat per se. Until something better comes along here in a couple months, we'll see. But how is ChatGPT playing into how you're solving things for clients, or you teaching clients how to use ChatGPT within their businesses? Like, how how do we compete in this world with writing awesome copy against computers that are never sleep?
You're asking a really good question. So I am teaching my clients how to use ChatGPT in a very specific way. What I found is like out of the box, ChatGPT or any of these, AI tools like Claude are great at writing average level content. And so that could be a huge win if you're a drop shipping store. You got 5,000 products. All are using the manufacturer's product description. And you're like, we aren't ranking for anything. Well, the reason is you have the same content as everyone else. So just out of the box, using a tool like ChatGPT can improve it a bit, get it to be, a little more above average. What I've started doing as a service offering with clients recently is building them a custom GPT, a custom chat GPT, loading it with their store voice information, their brand information, their product information to get to the point where a store employee could paste in a product URL and get back an optimized product description. It'll go out, it'll crawl the product, it'll look at related products, and it'll say, okay, based on everything you gave me, here's a 500-word description for what was a 50-word description before. And what I found is ChatGPT can do really well at taking a couple bits, it's a cotton towel, it has a bunny on it, it's red, and writing a bit of a narrative prose description. So it reads a little more engagingly and helps with SEO. What I found though is there's no true shortcut here. What works well is using ChatGPT to generate sort of an informed first draft version of this content. And then you yourself or somebody on your team, just read through it, make sure it's saying the right things, optimize it a bit, and then publish it. And I found that works well just to get something up there that's better than the 2 sentences you might have dashed off 3 years ago or the manufacturer's product description that you just imported. So I wouldn't say it's better than writing content yourself. If you understand your products, your audience, their needs, you're always going to write better copy than the robot will. But if you're time constrained, if you have a large amount of SKUs, if you're like, I got 10,000 products, there's no way I'm going to be able to write 10,000 product descriptions, then a tool like ChatGPT plugs in very well to help minimize that effort.
One of the best use cases for AI in copywriting is going from 0 to 1. It's just helping you, because looking at a blank slate is the bane for any artist if you want to consider yourself an artist when you're talking about writing copy, but just anything. And I find myself being so much more productive just getting my ideas out onto paper through it, and then immediately I know exactly where I need to go from there, and it just cuts out just a lot of the time of staring at a blank page.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The one thing I'll say from my own experience is it doesn't end up it ends up cutting out the time you're staring at the blank page. It doesn't really cut down the overall time. I find myself doing more edits, more refinements, more like, it got me from 0 to 1. Let me refine from 1 to 2. So I think it gets better content at the end.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I got the same thing in a tenth of the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, so we're approaching these products, right? And if it was me, if I was going to be lazy about it, I would just go into my Shopify admin, click on products, bestsellers, sort by there. And it's like, that's the order that we're going to start optimizing these. You mentioned a few other ways to look at it, right? But what if I want another shortcut? Can I just is there a way to plug ChatGPT right into Shopify and just have it do the damn thing? Or is that a little one step removed?
I think that's still one step removed. Shopify does have some built-in product description crafting. I might be wrong on it being one step removed. I just haven't seen it.
Magic is a thing. I'm not familiar with whether or not it's good. It's called Shopify Keyword. No, it's not KeywordMagic. That is your tool, but there's something else Shopify has that's called Magic.
Yeah. Maybe it's their chatbot assistant. I'm not sure, but I have played around with their product description crafting before. I found it okay. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's better than nothing. But I didn't find it to write a compelling narrative or decent enough. So there isn't a way to plug it in directly yet. Once we get to there, I think it'll be a great step. I do for stores with a smaller amount of products, export that product listing. Now you have it in a spreadsheet. Now it's a bit easier to, work through. We got 100 products. Let's block and tackle just through the most important ones. But there is still some amount of effort there. When we get to the point where we could plug GPT or Claude into the Shopify store itself and be like, okay, great. Here's a prompt. Here's some context information. I think it really will be like magic, but we aren't at that point yet.
Now, walk me through your new product that you're talking about, we talked about earlier today, KeywordMagic.ai. What is a good use case for that? How is that helping merchants?
So KeywordMagic.ai is something new I'm working on. It's still in stealth mode. To start off, it's going to be a collection of tools and resources.
Do we need to beep this out?
No. It's fine to talk about. But it's a collection of tools, resources, and products to help merchants surface keyword insights and keyword data. The AI is sort of a tongue-in-cheek joke on my side. It's not like, okay, we're going to have the AI do everything for you. I think of it like augmented intelligence. We're going to have an AI that's like a genie in a bottle where we can ask questions or it can help surface the most impactful opportunities to focus on rather than just doing it yourself. So I've got a couple tools and resources I'm working on that I'm planning to release in Q2. And so if you go to keywordmagic.ai, you could get on the email list and be the first to get access to those. But something new I'm working on, splitting off some resources that I built within Ecommerce.
That's amazing. And it's a great transition to what is going to be going on in 2025 for SEO. This won't come out for a couple of weeks. So obviously, first things people will do if they want to take SEO seriously in 2025 is go to keywordmagic.ai, sign up for your newsletter, see what the tools are, but also what else should they be doing? How should they spend their time this year?
I think we're at a really interesting transition point for SEO. We've got AI overviews coming in. We have people more on the bleeding edge starting to use GPTs, search GPT to browse the web and find information. It feels like we were very, very focused on Google for a while. And now we're just starting to sort of open and widen up. It's not like at the snap of a finger, everything is different. But when I look at the years ahead, I'm like, oh, this feels a little new. It feels like new energy is coming in. And so with a transition point like this, like, should stores be doubling down further on SEO? Should they be focusing on getting into AI overviews? Should they be focusing on paid? What I think is the most important thing is to understand your funnel overall. What are the top of the funnel traffic sources that are actually bringing people into your store? Maybe it's paid ads. Maybe it's social media, organic social. Maybe it's SEO. Think about the middle of your funnel. How are you converting these people if they aren't purchasing today? Are you driving them to an email list? Are you offering them a coupon? Are you providing a, hey, learn about our products, get on the list here type of offer? Understanding what your funnel looks like will just give you more resilience as things change. If, AI overviews suddenly pick up a bunch of energy and we see a drop in traffic, you want to understand where your traffic has been coming from historically, how you've been converting that, and how you can move it forward. I don't think you want to be focused on a single channel right now. You really want to be thinking traffic diversification, even if it's just like, we've mostly been on, organic social. Let's try spending $50 a week or $50 a month on paid Facebook or paid Google. Diversification will just help insulate you and make your business a little more robust as things change. And we don't really know what direction everything is going to go in. I'll predict like SEO is still going to be around. People are still going to be searching for products in Google and other search engines, but it is important just to understand what that funnel looks like for your business. So, if part of it drops out, what do we need to get in? How do we repair or replace this leaky funnel?
Yeah. And I would even go as far as to say is that the work that you put into search engine optimization there's going to be a future where people are asking the ChatGPTs of the world their shopping related questions, and we get leads from ChatGPT. It happens because we have a very crawlable website where our information's out there very, very well laid out. And people that comparison shopping that people used to go to Reddit for to try to like an unpaid opinion per se. I think that the work that you put into SEO, if you do it right, will resonate within these kind of AI models. I don't think we're too far off for AI or machine learning optimization as a service that is akin to search engine optimization.
Full agreement. I'm already seeing some services and some businesses pop up around that. One is we'll include a link in the show notes, Noatoa, and they're basically like a search console for AI rankings, know what you're ranking for in the different AI search engines. And so I think, we are approaching a point where people are going to be doing more AI optimization for folks and having a crawl.
Which is wild.
Yeah. I mean, you go back 3 years and you're like, hey, SEOs, guess what's coming down the pipeline? And you're like, is this a science fiction novel? But we're living through it.
Yeah. I remember when we got our first lead from ChatGPT, I took the call, but quickly learned that the leads aren't the best quality.
And that's the thing, like ChatGPT and it feels like magic to us as business owners. People are going to, ask the robot, hey, what's an agency to help me with my SEO? And they'll say, oh, go hire Kai Davis. But like, it gets squishy. And in that example, it's given one, result. But when we search SEO agency for Shopify now, you get pages of results. So I'm interested in seeing like how those two get threaded together. There's not just one agency there. There's not just one that wants to rank in the GPT. So what exactly will that look like? I don't know, but I think it'll be interesting.
We talked all about just things that people could do themselves. But if I've got too much to do and not enough time and I want to hire someone like Kai Davis, what are you helping people do one-on-one? How can I give you money?
That's always the $1 million question. So I've got a couple core services I'll quickly reference. The main service I sell these days is my SEO opportunity report. It's a detailed, bespoke, by hand audit of your site, your competitors, your keywords, your products, your rankings, basically all the data I could get my hand on. And then I go look at your site and everything in a half a dozen tools or so just to understand what are the opportunities for you. And then distill it down to, okay, there's a million things out there. Let's just focus on these top 5 things. They'll actually make a difference. So that's the main service I start all of my clients with, just so I could understand their niche, their business, their audience, and make recommendations that point towards growth, not the other way. Past that, I am working on a new offering I just launched, one-on-one SEO coaching. This is perfect for merchants who are like, hey, I'd love to learn more about SEO. I'd love to be able to do it myself, but I'm just not quite sure where to start. I'd love to work with somebody who could say, focus on these things, review your copy, review your content, and just provide that feedback. And so that's an offering I just launched last week or so, and I'm starting to talk about on the mailing list.
That's amazing. Awesome. Now, you mentioned the mailing list there. Is that at doubleYourEcommerce.com, I'm assuming?
It is doubleYourEcommerce.com. I send out email every few days or so, just with tips, resources, latest interviews I've done. I try to provide value.
You do provide a lot of value. That's a great newsletter to be on, Kai. Is there anything I didn't ask you about today that you think would resonate with our audience?
There's one new free thing I released recently that I'd love to call out, a 35-point Shopify SEO checklist. And you can find that at shopifyseochecklist.net. And there's, a ton of checklists out there. This one's mine. I just was tired of kind of crummy advice on a lot of the checklists. I felt like they were made back in 2004. Focus on, tagging for your Shopify products. And I was like, well, that doesn't really apply anymore. So this is 35 tips coming from my SEO opportunity report, the more than 100 Shopify stores I've worked with, just focusing on, hey, if you do nothing else, try to focus on these essential areas. And it covers your homepage, your product pages, your collections, your blog, and just really provide some actionable next steps. And you can opt in there and get a pretty PDF of all the tips as well. So if you're looking at doing your Shopify SEO yourself and you're like, hey, I need some ideas on what to work on next, shopifyseochecklist.net, great free resource.
Absolutely. And like everything else we've mentioned today, it'll all be linked in the show notes below. Kai Davis, Double Your E-commerce. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening.
We can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own businesses. You can find all the links in the show notes. You can subscribe to the newsletter at honestecommerce.co to get each episode delivered right into your inbox. If you're enjoying this content, consider leaving a review on iTunes. That really helps us out. Lastly, if you're a store owner looking for an amazing partner to help you get your Shopify store to the next level, reach out to Electric Eye at electriceye.io/connect. Until next time.